I just have a real simple philosophy, because when you get deconstructing what is what, who is who, it's more like, man, are you real or not?
I don't think that there is a 100% textbook definition of punk, but there is, but you know, there is a line that you can draw where it's like kind of accepting each other and not being a complete dick.
It's an attitude, definitely. It's speaking your mind, being yourself, being, you know, trying to be as authentic as possible of a person.
In the very beginning with us, I think it's the same as it is now, which is people that want to do their own thing and don't worry about, you know, if people are judging them or what they're thinking about them, because they're individuals and they're good with that.
How do you explain what the ether and space is? That's punk rock.
When I was a skater kid, you know, yeah, I might consider myself like a punk rock kid or whatever, but I think it's more about just like the ability to kind of be yourself and hopefully not be judged.
I don't know, I think it's whatever you want it to be, as long as you're not like a hateful person. Like, it's like I feel like Nazi punks aren't like actually punk, because it's just like, you can't be like hateful like that, you can't be a terrible person. It's not what the movement's about.
Yes, at its best, is that it's a very inclusive place, you know, for people. It's a very inclusive place for nonconformists, you know, for people that don't fit in a lot of other places, people that feel that that they don't fit in the mainstream.
You know, this simple concept of doing it yourself and kind of rebelling against what you're fed to do or believe, and you can just kind of take it in your own, and you come to find out that so many people are also like that, and they make music and they make art.
Freedom of thought, you know, doing your own thing, you know, and it just happens to involve a genre of music.
Punk rock isn't something that you can live off of, it's something that you are.
It's something
you're a part of.
You have to do it, right?
Not really being concerned with what other people are going to perceive you as, because, you know, you're punk. Fuck you, you're punk.
I think to be punk, to me, is to stand up against the system that not everybody can be a part of, to make a new system where potentially anybody could be a part of, and to make space for the people that society will not make space for.
Let's make whatever we are, let's make that punk. Like you know, that's my spiel, that's the way I resolve it.
But punk is just, to me, being yourself, not putting up with shit. Fuck it, let's play some music. You know, we'll band together and rally together as we need to.
The word itself went in a direction that doesn't have anything to do with where it started from. And so I think it used to be, about unity and community.
So I guess it's just like finding like other people that are like rolling around in chaos and creating this like community, because I guess punk is community to me. That's what it is.
punk that creates such strong community?
Because it is the outsider's point of view.
Yeah, it's like fucking weirdos and shit.
Yeah, when you grow up like a weirdo and everybody thinks you're a weirdo and you're like, man, there's no other weirdos in this world, you know? And then you like finally realize that not only are there other fucking people that are just different than the normal like group of people in this world, but there's like they all got together and made like this punk rock music scene.
I don't know. I think people want to belong to something, and I think people want to relate to the people they're with, you know? So when you find other people who are the same way, especially living in the South, where when you go to high school, if you're like that, there's a very good chance you're one of like 3 people who are like that, you know? So when you stumble across places like Slogos or any sort of punk scene or whatever, you just feel welcome.
Well, because you're a minority for one.
Yeah,
I mean, basically, I mean, it's a subset, like I said. So I mean, it was like this, I said it before, it's your gang. You know, these are my guys. We listen to the same stuff. We know the same people. We drink beer at the same place. We probably have the same politics.
Very
DIY.
DIY. They're very into the DIY, but also it's welcoming. It's very welcoming, and it's very nice. Like, there's a lot of people who just come to our shows that like I don't even know, but they've been to enough of our shows. I feel comfortable if like I was about to die, they would help me.
Traveling enough, I think it's a punk scene in general, DIY. Everybody already knows exactly why they're doing what they're doing and what they're up against, and that alone creates a bond.
Everyone's got each other's backs.
Yeah, everyone's got each other's backs. You know, like you play the same venue and you see the same band a million times, they become your best friend.
Back then you were definitely an outsider, so you felt a connection with someone else, you know, that was into the same off-ball. Back then it was, if you listen to Circle Jerks or Black Flag or Bauhaus, whatever, and you know, early 80s, around here, you were a little out of the ordinary.
That was you go into the handlebar.
You know, you're putting on a show at the Lions Club or Patricia, and you're hoping to get 60, 70 people there to come out and support a show, like to cover your guarantee. You know, people stuck their neck out to bring the bands there, you know, and whether, you know, you'd heard the band before or whatever, but you hopefully got like good advice, say, hey, you know, come out and check it out, it's worth it, you know, and more times than not, it was.
You know, the punk is usually made up of people that feel disconnected from their own communities, they feel disconnected from from their families often, they feel disconnected from the larger community, they're made to feel like they just don't fit in anywhere, and then all of a sudden you have this group of people where none of them fit in, and if none of them fit in anywhere, then you have this room full of misfits in some ways.
There's a lot of indie rock in Pensacola. They're even like part of the punk scene, I think, because like they are speaking out against a lot of, we all have the same views, and especially in the Pensacola scene. What I've noticed in Pensacola, it's like, I haven't been everywhere around the world. This is just from what I picked up around tour. People can be on the same bill and have kind of different genres, but if they all have the same like-minded ideas, it still kind of all blends in, you know?
It's like cookies and cake and us. We don't produce the same kind of music, but we're really good friends with them, and we play a lot of shows with them.
When you come over, you might have to wait. I'm the kind of lady with a lot on the plate, and just like Larry, I got kicking to do, smoking weed and twerking on you. Let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high. You got the tonic, I wanna be honest. Smoke those beats like it's hydroponic. If you ain't got a deal with you, hit the bricks. Wanna get high, not deal with your shit. Well, back in the day, we used to joke because everybody always had a benefit show for everything. And I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I've had several. But we used to call it, like, we'd be like, come on, y'all, support your friends. And that's just how it used to be. Like, I would put it on all the bottom of my flyers, like, support your friends.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. A really close friend of mine lives in Peru, and the scene over there is such the opposite. It's like, there's a lot of successful bands. There's a lot of bands. There's a big chance to become commercially successful, but nobody, like, helps each other out. Nobody's friend. Like, it's like all competition, all rivalry, all drama. And here it's the opposite. It's like everyone's got each other's back.
The the rebels, the artists, and the creatives already know in the larger scheme of things they're fighting an uphill battle, so we got to stick together. And I think that creates a bond that just leads to natural community.
It's helpful for us to play for free and be so willing to play all the time because we want touring bands to come through here. And some really cool bands have played in this town and we want that to continue. So we're just like, whatever.
Plus you can be like, oh, I played with them.
Yeah.
And like, that's my favorite thing.
I played with that band.
People are like, oh, I love so-and-so. And I'm like,
From what I've seen, Pensacola is like one of the only towns that doesn't have like money behind the punk scene to be pushing bands to become successful. Which is nice though, because you have an actual DIY music scene here. There's no weird outside influences coming in and being like, you know, like I don't know how to put it into words.
We just have a really enthusiastic scene here. I think just because we all like to hang out with each other and see each other and have fun and play music, so naturally that's what we do. We play benefit shows, and we all try to support each other in the different, avenues, whether it's raising money for 309 or Planned Parenthood or, Food Not Bombs or something like that, for example.
309 is a collective house. It's a punk house. It's been around as a punk house since well over 20 years, and that would be accurate. And it's been a house since 1912.
The people that live there for sure, like Gabe was talking about, he lived there and he was part of the first bunch of punks who lived in that house,
I guess like my dad's friends moved in there back when it like first started. I thought they always tell me that they were the first to move in there, but I don't ever believe anybody anymore when they tell me stuff. But I know that my dad built a ramp with his friends out of pallets in the backyard of 309, and then there's like a story that like Gabe from from Hula Moon BMX'd off the roof into the ramp.
I actually lived at 311 before, which is of course the house right next to it, and maybe like a little feeder house into 309. And 309 had a room that was open, and when the room opened up, one of my friends who was next door, she asked if I would move into the upstairs room. So I did, and then once I moved in over there, then I really felt for the first time in a long time, I really had a family, that I completely found my people.
Early on, back in, 2003 or something, I don't remember who all was living there. Kent Stan was living there. So every once in a while I'd go hang out with him. He lived upstairs on the front top porch room.
Lived in 309. From about 2000 to about 2003. I started off living in a very, very much to the rules and requirements of punk rock living. I started off living in a camper out front, waited my turn. It's true. Moved to a bungalow in the closet, eventually upgraded to a bedroom, retired with a master porch, just as it should be.
Yeah, so that stuff was cool, and then we do these potlucks, and the potlucks were like really big, and we'd have these potlucks all the time.
And so many people would come, and we had this idea of there wasn't anywhere to eat for vegans, and so we started Spare Change Cafe, and whatever you had, we'll make you a plate of food. We have like 3 different things, we bring it out. We had different people in our our collective that we had. Somebody would be a server, somebody would be cooking that day, and somebody would be doing dishes.
But they had started a restaurant over there, which eventually became the place where everybody learned to cook. And everybody in the scene learned to cook. And that's, if you want to think of the roots of End of the Line Cafe, it really comes from that kitchen in 309.
Before we started End of the Line Cafe, at one point there was 11 people that lived there. And the core friends that we had that were there was probably about 5 that lived there. But we would have potlucks all the time.
And 309 most of the time has been that place, It's almost a safe haven, I guess, of punk culture and things like that,
I think the first time I ever went to 309 was in high school because I was in a club called the Young Feminist Alliance, and there were a group of ladies living there at the time who also had their own sort of feminist group. But then I started going to shows there when I was maybe 18, 19, And when I moved in there when I was 23, I lived there for 3 years, and I booked a lot of shows there too.
At the time, they were advertising it as our last house show ever.
Yeah.
And we played that. But
It
like that was the
kind of
only
a-
house show we'd ever been to at 309. So it was kind of at the very end of 309.
It was like
when we came in.
the casket of the house show, and it was kind of really important for us to play it.
It was important to us a lot
It was
because
really
like my
important.
parents used to hang out there and shit. Like back when it was like before it was even a punk house, and so like just to play there and like think about like what it's became. It was like intense for us to play the very last show like ever supposedly.
The idea is that, ultimately the idea is that we'll be able to buy the house outright, and then once we bought the house, we'll be able to turn the house into a punk museum. So what we're looking to do is have a museum in the house that's going to be dedicated to punk, be local punk, it's a big part of this. It's going to be dedicated to the house itself, which would be 309, but then also to punk houses, because most punk houses don't live, for that long. And that's one of the things I would like to see with this. It's not just as a repository for Pensacola punk, but as a space where we can see ourselves in a bigger picture, and then the bigger picture can also see us as part of that too. So, with the house itself, our plan is to have an archive in the house. So one of the rooms set aside for, will be set aside for that, for local stuff, but then also national stuff.
I think it's great. And Scott, whenever Scott does something, he goes full throttle. And so it's exciting to see him work on this project. And that house meant a lot to him, and he lived there, and they had baby there. He's so passionate about it, because if there's anybody that's going to do anything like that, it's going to be him.
So we'd like for it to have the archive, okay, and that'll be a pretty big part of it. And the archive is a functioning archive that you can go through the files, you can look at all this stuff, but then also you can see things on display. That will have posters up on the wall, laminated images, and maybe a couple displays of zines or records.
I am so happy, especially in the hands of such an accomplished fighter. Like I'm really, really excited. I'm speechless, because it's like I know how serious it is. It's not just talk.
Back of the house, where ideally it'll be a recording studio, a soundproof recording studio, so so it won't bother the neighbors too much. But then it will also still function in the way that the house has functioned. That numerous bands have recorded their music there over the years. We'd like to keep that as part of the house. And because Terry mentioned this before and said that who wouldn't want to have their band or record over there? Like if you're traveling through, maybe like the John Peel sessions. Upstairs would be the front of the house would be for an artist in residence, and that'll be something that you can apply to be a part of. I got the idea from the Jack Kerouac house over in Orlando, but that's the idea. So it'd be an artist in residence in the front. The back of the house would be the curator, so it'd be somebody who's living there permanently.
Awesome! It's gonna be a long haul. It's gonna be a long road, but it's gonna be cool.
If they can turn it into like a punk museum or something and make it work, I think that's awesome. But at the same time, it worries me because I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to be super interested in it, other than like me and you and other punk kids who grew up hanging out there, knowing about the place and that kind of stuff.
I want to learn more about it. Like I've read the GoFundMe thing, and I know like Scotty Potty, and like I feel like I trust him, and I have faith that if he's involved in it, it's gonna be like
He's
a
like
really
running
legit
this
project.
show pretty much,
and it does
so.
seem like he's running it now.
And that sucks. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, oh, that's rad. This like subculture I know nothing about. Like, you would think people would be more interested, and maybe they will be. Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, and they can get it out there in a way that people will come.
And then the downstairs will have besides the recording studio and the archive, there'll be a gift shop in the front, and you'll exit through the gift shop, as you do. And in the gift shop, we'll have these different ideas, and there'll be fundraisers for the house, maybe like recording all those records that I couldn't give away, we'll remarket them and try and sell them as a piece of history.
If the punk scene never happened, Pensacola would still be Pensacola. It would be that different.
But
if you were there,
it has enhanced the life of a good amount of Pensacola. Not the majority, not half, but there's a lot of folks whose lives were influenced, maybe even changed by this whole scene.
And people who have, or I'm sure in the future will, make a big contribution to the history, the story of this town.
Does it deserve a place in Pensacola's history? Yes. Does anybody outside of that scene really care? I don't think so. Like,
I think it's to the city's advantage to find ways to promote their overall art history in general. I mean, that's what the cities that that are bringing in tourists for those reasons, like Savannah and Charleston and Asheville, North Carolina. They have happened on something that people like. The artistic history of any city is something that's good to for the city to try to promote, because there's a lot of history there, but there's a lot of talent there too.
It's following your heart. It's really simple and basic. I can't quite describe it because once you have to ask, it's not punk.
What, do I consider myself punk? I mean,
I hate that word so much.
Yes. Now I feel like I am a punk.
I guess, yeah, some. There's some still there, yeah.
I consider myself punk in spirit.
I consider we're just old guys.
I always have been, I always will be. I'm just a mom punk now.
So I want to consider myself a free man. I want to consider myself a free person, and I want to consider myself able to do whatever the fuck I want to do, but I guess to put that into words, punk rock would be the only way to describe doing whatever the fuck you want to do.
I don't want the haters to get me down, but yes, I do consider myself a punk.
I consider myself a person who appreciates all different kinds of music. I'm a Heinz 57. Scott, Irish, French, German, 100% Pensacolian.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody in this room is punk. Everybody in this fucking house is punk. And, like, that's all that matters.
It's a part of who I am. I mean, I'm Eliza. Like, that's my answer. I'm Eliza. I'm not a punk. I'm not really an artist. I'm not really any... I mean, I am all of those things, but, like, there's something that's beyond me. And, like, I would just feel really limited, I think, if I said, like, yeah, I'm a punk. And also, I'd probably be a really big poser.
I don't know. I definitely don't go around being like, oh, I'm a punk or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, sure, but
Why sure?
It's not all that I am.
I'll own up to it. Yeah, I'm a punk. I'm a punk ass motherfucker. Kiss my ass.
I think we're all punk enough. It depends on how you feel. If you feel punk, then you are punk.
Yeah, definitely depends on who's asking. But between you and I, yeah, I do.
We're not punk, but punk has kept us young.
Amen.